The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Irina Simkina. We will start in 1 minute. I'm just waiting for, for 1-2 minutes maximum. Okay, hello, everyone, and I think we can start. Before I start, I want to mention that this webinar is mostly focused to our new features from release 5.5, which was officially released in end of April for TRBOnet Enterprise and TRBOnet Plus. But also we introduced a new product to the market, which called TRBO.SOS, and I will pay a lot of attention to this product as well, because I think that it can take a lot of interest on the market in these days. I will mention very high level the products we have, just to remind you that TRBOnet Enterprise is not the only product we have. And I will start with my lovely screenshot, which called One Stop Shop, just to show our portfolio. Of course, the main products we have in our portfolio, it's the desktop Windows solutions for the dispatch and monitoring of the radio systems. The main product called TRBOnet Enterprise or Plus, actually it's the same set of functionality. The main difference is the type of the connectivity you can have in different products. For example, if you are connecting to the radio system, which is conventional or simplex or analog, in that case, we recommend to use TRBOnet Enterprise. And if you are working with the trunking system, it will be TRBOnet Plus. We also have the monitoring solution for the radio network to understand the capacity of the system, the use of the repeaters, the real-time traffic of the radio network. This product called TRBOnet Watch, and it can give you the analytics on how the system is used, if you have enough capacity of the system, if you need to add more repeaters, more power, maybe more capacity in the specific sites, and also to understand the coverage of the system. One more product we have, and it's not only for MotoTurbo, but also, no, actually all the products, they are now available, TRBOnet Enterprise Plus and TRBOnet voice recording. They are available for MotoTurbo and also for the Demetra. So voice recording, it's the specific product, actually part of Enterprise, I can say, which is focused only for the recording, and it can be standalone installation only for the recording if the customer needs a separate recording solution from the dispatch or only needs the recording to use. Another part of the portfolio, it's the hardware products and the firmware. The Swift firmware, it's a software which is loading inside the radio, and it can use the radio memory and radio sensors to provide extended functionality for the radio. For example, using the storage inside the radio, we can use the extended voice recording inside the radio. So even if you don't have any solutions like Enterprise or recording, or if you need to make recording of the radio working outside of the coverage of dispatch system, in that case, radio can store all the communications inside the memory, and later then it goes into the coverage of the Wi-Fi. You can download all the stored communications. Also, the same we can do for the GPS tracking. So if radio is operating outside of the GPS coverage, but you still need to have history of the GPS, in that case, all the information stored inside the memory, and after radio goes back to the radio system or to the Wi-Fi zone, you can download all the stored information. Besides that, we have access to the different sensors of the radios, like accelerometer and gyroscope, and we can detect the man down, crash detect, no movement, so safety features for the person using the radio, and monitoring of the GFNs and battery level, so a lot of interesting functionality for the radio itself. Second part of the hardware portfolio, it's the gateways. Swift Gateway or Swift Agent, it's an IP gateway to interconnect simplex channel, non-Motorola radios, analog radios, so you can integrate them through IP into the dispatch center, make recording and make audio calls and receive group calls. Accessories mostly used for to interconnect Motorola accessories like microphones and speakers or push-to-talk buttons to the console to make it mission-critical console. One more new product, it's a hardware product we introduced last year. It's a Neon. It's a public announcement system. So it's a special box which is installed on the tower, and you can make a public announcement in the remote location, because this box has the radio inside or IP board inside. So you can choose one of the channel, radio channel or IP channel, to make the announcement in the remote locations directly from the TRBOnet console. And the third part of the portfolio, it's our mobile Android and iOS mobile development. One of the main, I would say, for me at least, it's the mobile client, or actually it's a push-to-talk over cellular. So it's the software which converts your Android or iOS device into the radio. And you can make push-to-talk for the group calls, private calls. We have AVL tracking, GPS tracking, and indoor tracking, job ticketing, and a lot of interesting functionality for that. So it's a software for the push-to-talk over cellular. It can be used on the different Android devices like Samsung and Caterpillar, Zebra, etc., but also on the devices which look like a radio without display, but have Android platform inside. Another type, it's the watch client. So it's also the application for the Android, which can show you the monitoring of the radio system. It's mostly for the administrator of the radio system, so you can see how the system is operating. The third one, it's a Bluetooth communicator. It's actually the extended display to the radio. So you can, having this software on the Android device, you can connect it through the Bluetooth to your radio, which has the Bluetooth interface, and make the extended text messaging, send files, send pictures through the radio channel from one device to another device or to the dispatcher. So because radio mostly, especially mobile radios, they don't have display, and you cannot use them very well for the text messaging. So this product makes the extended screen, so you can have the list of contacts and make the text messaging with attachment. And the new product TRBO.SOS, which I will just show and present today. And besides the portfolio itself, I want to mention that we support a lot of different functionality, not only related to the radio systems, but also outside of the radio system. From the radios, we support different standards right now. Of course, mostly we married with Motorola, so Mototurbo and Dimetra, it's a Motorola standards, but also we support the LTE. So talking about the push-to-talk over cellular, it can be a nice complement to the radio dispatch with the several LTE devices, so you can make calls through radios and through the POC devices and see them in the same screen in the TRBOnet. Of course, all the features like voice dispatch, voice recording, indoor-outdoor tracking, alarm management, reporting, and everything, it support, all of them, they support radios and POC devices the same way, so you can see them in the same screen and the same reports. And for dispatcher, it might be even transparent if it's the radio or if it's a POC. But now talking about the new release, which we just introduced in April, talking about the Enterprise and Plus in general and all our products in general, I can say that we have feature requests from 3 different sources. First one, it's Motorola features in the firmware or Motorola new products. Like if you remember for the history of last 10 years, we started with the simplex, then it was tier 2, tier 3, Connect Plus, Capacity Max, and then we received the application program with the Dimetra. So all the features from the DMAR standard, from Dimetra standards, new products, new new systems like Capacity Plus, Capacity Max, they come from Motorola, and we have a big list of requirements which should be in the new release from Motorola Motorola side. Another part is how we see the product should be developed from our perspective. And the third one, it's custom development or request from our customers. And I can say that now, because we have thousands of customers, they use our software, they need more and more, and we try to develop new markets. We have more and more requirements coming from the customers. So in release 5.5, I can say that probably 60% of our new features, they came from the customer requests from different verticals, but I see the big potential how the same cases can be reused for the different verticals, and I will mention that during the presentation. So during this presentation, I want to concentrate on 5 main points. First one, it's a different, it's an emergency call center in TRBOnet 1. It's our console, new console, which maybe in 1-2 years will fully replace old dispatch console. It's a fully configurable one, and you will see how it's easy to create any type of the interface for your dispatcher needs. Emergency call center, all the requirements, they're related to the phone interconnect, because we have a lot of customers using phone inside the TRBOnet, and they have a lot of requests to extend it and to add more features. Second one, very interesting, it came mostly from the energy market, and it's some type of the beginning of the incident workflow platform, but it's it's mostly focused for the radios, and I will explain how it came, where it came from, and how it's released in our product. For the radio allocation, interesting approach together with Amazon, using the barcode reader, how to scan radio and scan your badge to take the radio, so dispatcher knows exactly which radio is used by which person. Additional safety for the POC devices, for the TRBOnet mobile client, which converts Android and iOS into the device, into the radio. And finally, the introduction of the new product. So I will start with the call center. And actually, this question came first from one of our customers, partners working with the airports. The request is that a lot of airports, and actually now I can extend it to the 911 call centers and to oil and gas customers, which we have, and they use a lot of phone interconnection inside the console. So first of all, one of the main requirements for them, they want to remove all the hardware devices from the desk. They want all type of the communications to be in the single console, and just having one headset, they can be able to make any type of work they did in the past with the hardware phones or with the old style dispatch software from the PBX providers like Cisco, Avaya, Panasonic, etc. So talking to the customers and to the partners, we received 3 main requirements from them for the configurable interface. First of all, they want to organize phone lines as they want. So not like in a hardware phone, they want like 6 lines and just 1 PBX for this dispatcher. No, they want to have unlimited number of PBX, unlimited number of lines. They want to have different captions for the lines, and they want dispatcher exactly to understand which line can be used for what. For example, some lines will be used only for incoming calls, some lines only for emergency, and some lines will always be available and reserved for the outgoing calls from the dispatcher to the outside world. Also, they want to have the address book, maybe grouped by different captions, but also closed for the permissions. For example, one operator will have access only for the part of the address book, another operator for their complete address book. And finally, they still have the should have the option to make the calls like they did with the normal hardware phones. So how we implemented this in our interface? First of all, we created the new interface to create lines. So the administrator of the system can create as many lines as needed for the dispatchers, make the caption for them as needed for the operations, and make the incoming patterns and outgoing patterns exactly how it should be for the dispatchers. For example, talking about the airports, some lines can be for the flight dispatch, another one for the airport services, another one for the outside world like ambulance, police, or transportation, or something like logistic or something else. So the owner of the system decides how many lines they need and how they will be captioned or display name for the dispatcher, and what should be the patterns. For example, if I have emergency line, it will all the calls made to the phone number starting with 9 or 911 or 112, they will go to this emergency line. All other calls will never go to this line. Second, talking about the address book, you can create, and again, the owner of the system or the supervisor of the system can create unlimited number of contacts and then put the permissions. So the dispatcher available for operations and security will only see the addresses and phone numbers of people related to that group. So grouping the contacts into different groups and making permissions for the dispatcher to access that groups make us the visibility control. So the dispatchers which don't have rights to see specific groups or supervision, they will never have access to that contacts and will never know phone numbers and names of people. And finally, to replace the hardware phone and remove it from the desk, we just need to repeat all parts of the phone in the software view. So we repeat the deal path, we repeat the buttons like redeal, put on hold, transfer call, and in our terms, it's not only transfer to another phone number or dispatcher, but we can also transfer to the radio or radio group or POC device. And the conference, the same, to make conference on several phones or radios or groups. So making all that implementation of the interface, finally, we can create flexible, configurable interface for the dispatcher with all parts of the phone, but put it in the specific places how dispatchers get used to with the old system, or just how he want to see that. For example, for the specific airport, they wanted to have in the same screen, you can see in the middle, lines and deal paths, so he can make calls and receive calls and transfer calls and get access to the most used phone numbers like police and ambulance. At the right, we have the access to the address book grouped by different groups like emergency phones, NEACOM, security, operations, and each box is a contact. So then he click that box on the top, he will make the call to the specific phone number. And at the same time, at the right, he has access to the radio system. You see, so the interface now, it's not only dedicated for the phone system, but also it can have parts related to the radio, to the text messaging, to any type of the dispatch which we have, even to GPS location, which we have in TRBOnet Enterprise in general. And in the bottom, we have the event log, so we can see all the events and calls happen in any time in the past. Of course, this event log does not show all the history, because the history, we never remove the history, and we can have here like 3 years, several months of recording. But this particular event log shows 5,000 latest recent calls and events. Or the alternative view, for example, for the 911 call center, they don't have access to the radio system. They only operate with the phone calls, and they can just see some specific number of lines. In my case, I put 9, but it can be unlimited, and they will have just a scroll on the screen to have 20 lines or 100 lines, no matter. DL path in the right part, and also the fast access to the phone numbers which they use daily, or they don't want to remember numbers and they just call. It can be a police ambulance like I have, but it can be also name of the person, name of the supervisor, any name. And again, the recent calls. You see that this interface, they look similar, but they have different parts. And it's up to the owner of the system or customer itself to decide what he wants to see on the screen. And usually our dispatchers, they don't work with just one display. They have several displays. And you can create different workspaces and put them on the different displays. So even having 3 displays, you can have all of them dedicated to the phone system, or each display dedicated for the phone, for the location, for the radio, for other type of operations. So summarizing the new functionality for the call center, first of all, we create the fully configurable interface. And first of all, the customer can make the view himself, or as a partner, you can provide him a service to create the view how it should be for your particular customer. Second, this view can be integrated with a different radio system. So it's not only the call center for the phones, but it can be just one complete call center for all type of the communications which you have connected to the TRBOnet server. So it can be a phone, different PBX, unlimited PBX with a redundant PBX. So it's a complete, really complete system with the Moto Turbo, with the Dimetra, and with the POC communications. We completely replaced the old-style software dispatch system from the PBX vendors, and now removing the hardware phone, one or several from the desktop, it absolutely does not affect the operations because all the same operations, they are repeating in the screen. And the use cases, the request we received from our customers, it was from the airports and from 911 call center, but also we have customers operating in oil and gas, and they use a lot of phone system inside the TRBOnet because they don't want to switch from headset to the phones. Energy, utilities, logistic, and a lot of, you can imagine, a lot of different verticals. Everybody who use, all the dispatchers who use the phone on their desktop, they can replace it with the same single screen or single solution. Now switching to the incident workflow for radios through the request to talk. The request came from the energy first. We have several huge energy companies in different continents, and almost in the same time they came with the same request. I think all of you know that how the call center works. Then you try to call the airline to change tickets, or bank online, or someone else. You are going to the voice menu, and then if no available operators, we are waiting on the queue while one of the operator takes our call, and we start talking and explaining our problem and situation, or what we need to do. But how to do the same with the radio? Because we cannot put radio on hold. Yes, radio call does not have handshake, and it's not waiting. We cannot queue the radio call. It's pressing PTT and waiting while the dispatcher is answering. But dispatcher can be busy with another problem, and he can miss this particular call, this request, and maybe after some time it's not valid anymore, or he forgets and he needs to search in all the requests what was the issue and call this person personally. So talking about the biggest difference between radio and phone, then we are talking about the queuing and call center. Then the operator should resolve questions one by one. First of all, radio, it's just a push to talk. It's not waiting on hold, and it's not. It cannot take a long call. Second, the capacity of the radio system is limited, much more limited than the capacity of the PBX, right? So sometimes we can have the phone call for 1 hour, 2 hours until we solve the issue. Nobody will wait with the radio call for 1 hour. Of course, it's impossible. It will use all the capacity. And how to make the workflow for the radio. I think you know that there is a functionality in the radio world, in the DMR, which called request to talk. So we use that functionality to open the case from the radio side to the operator and put it in the queue. Not the call itself, but the request. Hey, operator, I need your attention, and I want you to talk to me about this situation. One more difference between radio calls and phone calls. Usually then we make phone calls, not usually, 99%. It's a private call between one person and another person. Even if we are going to the voice menu, finally we reach one person and maybe he can put us in the conference. But in case of radio, most of the communications, they are making in groups. So then radio press PTT, in most of the cases it makes the group call. But the case it's not definitely for the group. Yes, if I want to reach the operator and I want operator attention, even if I'm talking about the group question, but I want the operator to talk to me personally because I see the issue. I want to provide the details and I have all the information about this question. So what are the requirements from energy market? And actually, again, it can be reused for different markets. So first of all, radio should initiate the case to the operator. And this case should have the workflow. So operator should queue it, see in the queue how many cases he has. One by one, he should proceed all the cases. And the supervisor should see the SLA, how fast all the cases are proceeded, in time, not in time. If there are cases which are still in queue, maybe in some specific groups of operators, there are not enough resources, so supervisor should forward it to another group of operators or take it by himself. This is important. Then radio, how to program radio, there are different ways. Radio can initiate case, we call it request to talk, but request to talk can be initiated by different options. By sending text message from radio or by pressing, usually what we do, we program the side button of the radio to send telemetry or text command. And inside the TRBOnet, we make the rule that if this type of text or this type of telemetry received from radio, it means that it's a request to talk. So inside the TRBOnet, actually, we can see the request to talk pop-up window. So everybody understands that it's not just a command, it's a really request to talk. But one more important thing is that radio user can understand to which group to send it. And I'm not talking here right now, I'm not talking about the radio group, I'm talking about the operators group. So imagine the situation. We have the group of dispatchers or group of operators responsible for the security. Another group responsible for the transportation. Another group is responsible for the maintenance. So the radio user in the field, he decides which issue he wants to report, and by pressing this or that side button, he decides to which group of operators he sends this request. And based on that, for the operators, you see, we can create the request to talk and dispatcher groups for different issues. So, for example, electricity blackout issues will go to one group of dispatchers, maintenance to another group of dispatchers, and then we create the dispatcher role. So then the dispatcher is connecting to the system. The system automatically assigns him to the specific dispatcher notification group. So all the issues from the radios in the field reported to electricity blackout will go only to these specific dispatchers. All the issues to the maintenance only to that specific dispatchers. But supervisor has the option to see everything. And one more thing, that sometimes dispatchers, they are sitting with the screen of TRBOnet with the dispatch system all the time, so it's always open. But sometimes dispatchers, they use different type of software for different type of work. For example, energy companies, they have e-dispatch solution, but also they have some other SCADA control or some other operations. For that, we created the notification messages, like standard Windows notification messages, So in case any radio reports request to talk and this dispatcher is in charge of this group of notifications, he will immediately see that in a system tray. So even if the dispatch position is minimized, he will see that request came and he needs to pay attention for that. In the interface, we have added notification panel with the workflow options. Then the request to talk only comes from the radio, or actually from the mobile unit as well, from the POC unit, because they have exactly the same options to initiate the request to talk. Dispatcher or supervisor, he has options to make the workflow, to make the activity. He can immediately accept and respond. And in that case, if he click accept, it will be the call from the dispatcher to this person privately or to the group. And this is the configuration of the owner of the system. You decide, if I want to reply in a group, or I want to reply personally as a private call. Or if he is busy with another question, he can put it on queue, or reject if he thinks that this was already maybe it was too late. You see there is a clock for how long this request is here, and maybe he wants to reject because maybe there was some other activity and he thinks that this request doesn't make sense. And after, if he did not answer immediately and put it in the queue, for the queued request to talk, for the queued case, he also has the workflow actions like complete. So he talked to the person and he understood the problem and he made the activity, and now he can manually complete it and put notes. Okay, completed because everything's solved, or completed because doesn't require to be solved, or something else. He can forward to another operator or to another group. For example, he received it as a tower issue, but he understood the problem and he's forwarding it to the security. It's not tower issue, it's a security issue. So he forwarded it to another group of dispatchers. Or he can reject it saying, okay, this is not the issue. I don't want to see it anymore. And PTT, of course, start talking to the person. You see that besides the workflow comments, we can see the information about the case. When it was activated, how many times he was requesting to talk, because sometimes if he did not receive the immediate answer, he can press request to talk many, many times. And in the list of notifications can be ordered by counts. So most requests we received, it will be on top of the list. And also the timer for how long this issue is here. So for supervisor, it's important to understand how many issues they have above the SLA and maybe to take it or forward to another person. And we can have on the same screen, we can put different notification blocks for different issues. For example, if I'm responsible for tower issues and for blackouts, I can put different blocks. I can see in each block list of different requests from different people. And I decide case by case who I will take first. Or as a supervisor, I can have all of them in one screen. So it's a question of the configuration of the owner of the network, how it should be, and how to take cases and how to complete. And actually, one more thing here is that for I'm sorry, I put this slide here. So again, the important point is SLA, yes? So the supervisor can see all the points in the same screen and he can understand if he need to make any activity. This notification panel can be part of the regular dispatch position. For example, we have call center here in the screen, and you see that now in the left part of the screen, I put notifications. So I'm, as an operator, I'm responsible for the phone calls and queuing of the phone calls. So actually cases initiated by calls from the phone, and also for the request to talks from the radio. And I can take all of them at once at the same screen, no matter if it's radio or call. I will, of course, I understand that I will handle them differently, yes, because call I can put on hold, forward, transfer, make conference. Radios I need to queue and also answer and talk. But the idea is that in both cases, no matter how the incident was initiated by the person, by the phone call or by the radio call or by the POC call, in all the cases, I see all of them in a single screen. I see the history and I can manage them. So I don't need to have several systems, several software. And in the configuration, the owner, the administrator, owner of the system, he can decide the workflow, what kind of workflow actions will be available, and should it be manually closed or it can be automatically closed as soon as the operator answered the call, and what should be the expiration timeout. For example, if you make the call to the phone or to the call center and you are waiting for the operator, and if he's not answering in 5 minutes, probably call will be dropped because no sense to keep the line and wait more. So the same idea is here. If request to talk is not closed or not answered within 24 hours or 30 minutes or 2 minutes, and you decided by yourself, in that case, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to keep it in the notification panel because it might be not valid anymore. If it was not answered during the shift, in 6 hours, 8 hours, it's already not valid. So this is the configuration provided for the people. And of course, based on that, we have the report, two different levels of the report. One is a summary just to show how many cases, how many requests to talk we had from different people into different groups or target, and target is actually the issue. What is the duration of the case from the moment it was generated and the moment then it was closed? What is the result of the case? It was successfully closed or not. Successfully if dispatcher answered and make some comments, but not successfully if it was rejected or not answered by a timeout. And we have the detailed view. Who from the dispatcher was notified? It means like if I have dispatcher groups of 5 operators, but only 2 of them were online, only 2 of them will be notified at this moment. And then shift happened, another shift, another dispatchers connected, and they see the open queue, and they can take care of the open cases now. And they can make comments like call was rejected, call was forwarded to another group, or call was successfully closed. So actually using the request to talk feature of the DMR standard and of the radio, we make the beginning of the platform for the incident tracking. Then you can open the incident from the radio. The operator has the workflow, and he can go through this workflow and make the case resolved and put the comments. And taking a report, you can see which operators were working on that and how it was closed. Was it closed in the SLA or not? And in the future, of course, we will have more development on the SLA control, so it will be more automatic and more informative for the supervisors, more reports, and of course, more details. This is the beginning, and interesting point that for all of our energy companies, I see the big value for that, because the same request came from 3 of them almost at the same day, almost at the same time. And it's not only energy, I see the value for oil and gas, manufacturing, security, any actually vertical where they want the operator in the field to initiate some activity from the dispatcher to discuss some issues. Any of them. And again, it's supported, you can make this request to talk based workflow in a motor turbo system, in a Dimetra, in a POC, in any type of the communications you have registered in TRBOnet, because all of them by different type, but all of them can initiate the case, and we will receive it and track it. Okay, next one came from Amazon Logistics, and probably you know about the radio allocation already. What is the main interesting point? Usually we have radios in chargers, and then person want to take radio, he just take one of the radios, goes to the field, and the dispatcher only see the display name of the radio. Sometimes he does not know exactly which radio is used by which person. And in the future, then we want to generate the report, but even for the dispatcher, then he wants to understand exactly which person he is talking to right now. We need to provide this information somehow for the dispatcher, that it's not just this radio, but also in the hands of this person. For that, in TRBOnet, we have the special functionality which called radio allocation. You can assign, you can create different users or people and give them the access to the specific radios. So with a sign-in, sign-off functionality of the radio itself, or with a password. So he can go to the computer, put his passport, and one radio becomes available to him. So he can take it from the charger, but by manual sign in the computer or in the radio. But the request was that I don't want to make any manual sign in. I have my badge with the barcode. I have radio charger with the barcode. Actually, barcode can be on the radio itself, not on the charger. And I have the barcode reader somewhere in the room. So what I want to do, I take my badge, scan it with the barcode reader. Then I take radio, scan it with the barcode reader. And then system automatically knows that I have this radio. And dispatcher has this name in the dispatch console, so he can see not only the radio name, but also the person name. And in the reports also, he can see that this radio was used by this person from this period of time to this period of time. And he knows who was driving there, who violated the rules and everything. For now, because it was the request from the specific company, we now support the Honeywell specific device. Actually, the not only this device, but it's several devices of this vendor. But this is the idea, yes. So to use the radio location, this case I have right now here, it's for the portable radio, but the same can be done for the mobile radio inside the vehicle. Yes, if we have a lot of vehicles or buses for the public transportation, and today one driver is driving one bus, tomorrow another one, to understand which the bus was used by this person 3 days ago or 1 week ago, radio location is really required. And this barcode scanner can be used for vehicles as well. It just will be portable one, not mounted in the room, or it can be even mounted at the gate. So then the bus driver is going outside of the garage area. He scans the bus, or no, yes, the bus code. He scans his badge, and the system automatically registers which radio is used or which vehicle is used by this person. So this was the extension of the radio location, and now we have a lot of options to allocate the radio with the sign in, sign out, with the badges with the barcode, also with the password or DTMF command from the radio, DTMF password from the radio, or by putting the password and logging into the console. This is very interesting functionality, especially for the big fleets and big set of radios, then like unknown radios, then dispatchers need to know exactly who is the person and not to spend time trying to every morning, okay, who are you? What is your name? Tell me your name, I will put my notes. But after some time, several weeks, if you run the report, that notes will be hard to find. So of course, it's interesting that the system makes it automatically. Next point I need to mention, it's a support of the new Motorola firmware. There are not a lot of functionality which is related to our product, but I want to mention like 3 of them, 2 parts of them. First one, it's support of the location information protocol for tier 2. It's an interesting thing because it's how to explain it better. You know that Motorola has its own proprietary protocol for the GPS tracking, and it's called LRRP protocol for GPS, and it's a Motorola protocol. LEAP protocol, it's a DMR standard. Not only DMR, the Indimetra and they use the same, but LEAP, it's a DMR standard. And this protocol was never implemented by Motorola. So then Motorola said that they fully support DMR standard. Actually, this protocol was not supported, so it was proprietary version of Motorola. Now, supporting this LEAP protocol, we can move and we can migrate customers with the non-Motorola DMR radios into Motorola. So imagine the customer which has Hytera radios or DMR Ken or Tite or some other DMR radios. You can put Motorola Moto Turbo repeater in IP side connect and use that subscribers. And in TRBOnet, you will have voice, you will have now with this LEAP protocol, you will have GPS, you will have presence by GPS, and you will have text messaging. So technically you can, if you have customer which using non-Motorola DMR and they want to migrate to Motorola, but they don't know what to do with the already purchased subscribers. In that case, you can say, okay, let's extend new operations with Moto Turbo repeater and Moto Turbo radios, and all radios, until you migrate all the fleet to Moto Turbo, you can add to this Moto Turbo repeater and use almost the same functionality as for Moto Turbo subscribers. So support of this protocol helps us and helps Motorola to migrate DMR non-Motorola radios into Motorola world and remove, or no, not remove, but decrease the lost money or lost investments in the past. The second edition for the firmware, it's in Capacity Max. It's mostly related to the Capacity Max system, call handover and single slot data support. I will start with the single slot data support. Probably you know that in Capacity Max, then you make the GPS only or data only repeater. You cannot put only one slot. It will be dedicated repeater in enhanced GPS mode, and you need to put it for data. But customers said, okay, I have, for example, Capacity Max system and two repeaters per site. So one repeater completely I want to use for voice, and one slot is used for control channel, and another slot I want to use for data. I don't need for data more than one slot. So actually single slot data support, in other words, it's a coexisting of the data slot with the control channel. So the repeater which has the control channel in Capacity Max, second slot can be used for data. If you dedicate the complete repeater, it always will be complete repeater and enhanced GPS. But if you want to use repeater with the control channel and second slot for data, now it will be possible in the new release of Capacity Max. And call handover, it's not related to our software directly. Call handover helps, then you have the radio roaming between different sites. It will not lose the call. It will stay in the call, even roaming. So it's like a smooth roam, then radio is in the call. Yes, like entry in the next site, and the user of the radio, he will not even detect that call is dropped. It will be smooth roaming. Okay, now several additions for the TRBOnet mobile client. First of all, we are adding the safety for the mobile client for the POC device. You know that radio, you can reuse radio sensors for the man down, crash detect, and no movement. And now we have the same for the mobile client on Android. You can put the safety parameters, and you can choose which of the safety features you want to use: man down, no movement, or shake. Also, one more interesting thing, then you want to initiate the alarm silently. In that case, you just can shake your device very quickly, and system will detect that this is alarm, and it can send the silent alarm to the dispatcher. So nobody around will even know that you initiated the alarm. Of course, it's for the private safety of the person. And dispatcher will receive the alarm with exact understanding, with exact caption, how it was initiated, by shake, by man down, or no movement. And also in the man down options, you can detect how usually you use your device. You can put that you usually use it in the vertical orientation, so it will detect the difference from the vertical position, or it's usually used in a horizontal way, or you can say that I don't know how it's usually used, so I can use it wherever it wants. And in that case, it will detect the G-force. So if it drops down, not just change the orientation, but drops down. So in other words, it's some type of crash for the mobile unit. Second portion have been added to the mobile client. It's the night mode. Then the device is operating in the night. We don't like very bright interface. So we added a new schema, interface schema for the night mode. No, for all the screens, of course. So the GPS tracking, emergency, and contacts and calls and everything, we have a night mode. So now it's more easy to operate with the device in the night. And finally, we added also one more addition to the mobile client is the favorite contacts. It's the beginning. We will add more in this topic, but for now you can choose like clicking the star. You can choose the most used, most important contacts and click them to mark the star, and they will go to the top of the list. Every time you go to the contact list, they will be on top, so you can click them and make the private call. So just for the fast navigation. Okay, now I have not a lot of time, but I want to all your attention to the new product, which is called TRBO.SOS. All the functionality we have in the TRBOnet Enterprise Plus and the POC, all of that is for the fleet. it's then you are the owner, you are the customer, you are the owner of the network, and you have your people operating in the field, and you have dispatch communications, tracking of them, and emergency, safety, everything. TRBO.SOS extending our market to the consumers. So it's not only the question of the safety for people working for the company, but for all people in the world. The question of TRBO.SOS came from several different sources and absolutely, again, different verticals, which is very interesting, and almost at the same time again. First request came from the campuses, from the universities. They have students, no, of course, they are studying in the university, but also living in the campuses. So university having the private security, they want to protect their students, not private security officers, but the students. And the idea is that then student enters the university, they sign the documents, and also they receive the access to the application in the soft phone, Android or iOS. And if they have any problems, if they have any incidents to report, if they need any help, they don't need to remember phone calls and different phone numbers for different cases. They just open the application and press the emergency button depending on what situation they have. Second case came from the police about the home violence. No, now you understand that in current situation, then the quarantine and people need to sit at home. And also in the situation, then unemployment is growing, the social instability is growing as well. And we need personal safety for, no, in case of home violence came from police, it's for women, but also for any people actually. Some of them came from the private security of condominium and business centers because they want to protect people and also to give them some option to report any problems and incidents. And how we how we do that with our product. First of all, we created the software for the Android and iOS, which should be installed, and the owner of the system decides what kind of problems the person can report. For example, we have some default problems like fire, police, first aid, or it can be like a general problem, emergency. And you can choose if the person can see all of that type of problems and can click separately to fire, to police. And of course, inside the system, it will be forwarded to the proper operators, or even to can initiate phone calls and any collaboration with the police and ambulance. Or you can keep just one button emergency, like generic emergency, and people will report only about that. What is important? This device controls the location, and if person press the emergency button, it not only initiates the emergency, but also the operator receives the information where this emergency happened. And you see then person press the emergency alarm button, system starts sending GPS until the emergency mode is closed. For example, I have the emergency situation and I press the emergency button and I can keep my phone in my pocket or somewhere I don't need to show my phone, and silently phone will send my location. So if I'm moving or someone takes me and move me against my wishes, in that case, the device will continuously send my location, and dispatcher operator can see my location and can send this information to the police or to the special services. Also, if the person then he installs the application and accepts the access of the application to the microphone in the emergency situation and only in the emergency situation, in that case, if I initiated the emergency, operator can open microphone of my device and listen what's happening around. So it opens the microphone the same way like it opens in the radio, but it opens the microphone to understand what kind of help is needed. Because then I press the emergency button, probably I cannot explain it well, because I'm in the situation that for me it's better that nobody knows that I press the emergency. So I can continue talking, but not keeping the phone in my hands and somewhere. So in case of police, for example, to prevent the home violence, they want this remote. They already have the law which allows police to open remote monitor of the device if the person installed this application and signed the document that, yes, in emergency situation, I allow you to listen and to help me with all possible ways. So what is important? Then I press emergency or initiate emergency. The operator knows my location and he knows he can listen what's happening around. But one more point, he also then we create the account in TRBONet. We can also add the custom fields like my emergency contact, my phone number, my address, my blood type, known allergy, for car number. So any additional information which can help operator to help me or to properly help. In that case, he will see that, then he receives emergency from the person, because you can imagine you can have hundreds of TRBO.SOS users in the TRBONet, and of course you need to understand who exactly initiate the emergency and which information you can get from the system about this person. Maybe some previous cases or something else. So anything which can help. Also, besides the click of emergency button, we can make the special type of alarms, and these alarms exactly the same like we have in the mobile client. So it can be man down, shake, no movement. So you can assign it, and again, it's a question of configuration. You can allow people to use it or not. Yes, the owner of the system decides that. So and he can use shake, for example, somewhere in the pocket. He just silently shake the device and it initiates the alarm. Man down, no movement, the same. And also we have the integration with a nice product which called V-Alert, and it's like a button on the fitness tracker, or it can be used as a bracelet, or it can be used as a button or as a clip somewhere on the belt. And in that case, you can see that I'm sorry, I have probably some problems with the voice. Okay, so in that case, you can see exactly that it was initiated by this button, and it can be like emergency hidden button or bracelet or something else. And it's integrated with the device. On the screen at the right, you can see the small icon of the bracelet, so you can initiate it. And after that, you don't need to even to take out your phone, and you can just click this button on your bracelet, and nobody will understand that it's alarm button, because everybody uses fitness bracelet and it's quite common. And one more type of the automatic alarm, it's the lone worker. Of course, it came from radios. Then I'm in a dangerous situation. For example, I'm a girl and I'm sitting in the taxi in the foreign country in the night. I don't know the driver. I don't know the place. Maybe I don't know the language he's speaking. Depends on the place I'm traveling. And I feel very, very insecure. And I want someone to track me. In that case, I can connect to someone who can track me, to the police, local police, or some local emergency services which provide this service, or even to my colleague and say, hey, I'm traveling in a business trip. I feel uncertain. Please track me with the lone worker. So I connect to our cloud TRBONet, and I can put the timer. For example, every 5 minutes, I need to reset the timer. If I don't reset the timer, my colleague or someone, my emergency contact, should receive the emergency call or email or message and should help me, because he will receive also my location, and he will receive information where I am, maybe my last route for this day, etc. And he can forward it to the local police to explain, okay, at this current point, she has the problem, please help her. So as you see, this product is to help people who are not part of our companies, but should be protected. So for example, if we have TRBONet for police, we can protect citizens. If we have, or tourists in our places, if we have TRBOnet for university security, we can protect our students. If we have TRBOnet for condominium security, we can protect or get information from our citizens, yes, for people, from people living in our condominium. And interesting, you see also here is request to talk, and this request to talk can be used as a case for the feature in the TRBOnet dispatch, exactly the same way how it's done for the radios. And one more thing, it's a report incident. There can be the situation that I don't want to report the emergency. It's nothing different, terrible happened with me, but I have a problem. I'm living in the place, I see the broken something, I need some type of help, which is not emergency. So I can just report the incident, which is text and image. It will go to the operator and he can just collect this information, or he can make some activity, maybe to call some services to fix it or to do something else. So report incident, it's some type of the report of the information which is not emergency, doesn't require immediate response, doesn't I'm not in a dangerous situation, but it's recorded in the system. All the images I'm sending recorded in the system, available through the reports, and people can get them, and supervisor can receive and see what kind of problems do we have in our university, if not emergency. What kind of problems we have with electricity on our condominium, what kind of problems we have with our something else, right? So it's more informational type of reports from the people to the operators and to the provider of the service. One more thing, it's not only one-way communication that person using TRBO.SOS can report about the problem, but also it's a back-way communication way. We have the push notifications. You know, then you use the Android or iOS, you can receive push notifications about different problems or about offers, something else. So we have the same from the TRBOnet dispatch for the group of TRBO.SOS users. Actually, it's the same for mobile clients, but TRBO.SOS is more interesting because it's more massive information. For the group of them, or specifically for the person, you can make the push notification. It will go to the top of the screen of the device unit, and he can open it and he can see this warning or alarm or some notification about the weather, about now in the COVID situation, about like, please stay at home, don't go outside, or please, like you were in contact with the infected person, please go to the hospital or something else. Any type. It's actually a type of, it's a text message from the dispatcher to the person with the mobile device as a push notification, not text message, but push notification. Even if the application is closed, he will receive this push notification and can read it. Of course, it's mostly to inform about some problems like hurricane, or maybe really some problems with the weather or blackout, or some roads are closed, you cannot go that way. So this type of communications from the TRBOnet owner to the people who use TRBO.SOS application. And finally, I want to tell you that, of course, we are not staying away from the situation of coronavirus. We are all working from home. We don't stop development. You see that we just released TRBOnet 5.5 and TRBO.SOS product, and we already started working on the new release 5.6. And we also want you to try TRBO.SOS and TRBOnet mobile client. So for that, we have a special offer. And I want you to contact me after webinar by email or by phone if you want, just to get more information about this. The idea is that while we have time to try and to make the pilot, and maybe while now people not ready to invest, we can make some offer for them so they can try without initial investments, and then decide if they want to use it and how they want to use it and how many devices they want to have. So that I'm sorry I took a little bit more time. That are most of the points I wanted to share. I see that we have some questions, and let me see if we have some questions. Just 1 second, please. Chat. I will open the chat. Actually, you can answer questions later. You all know my email. Okay, there is a question. Can inbound calls can be configured with a separate ringtones for easy alert notification? Right now, no. Right now it's the same ringtone, but we have it in the roadmap. So it will be released. Oh, no, not yes, it will be developed in the future. Okay. Sorry. I already used all the time. So if you have questions, please send me email. And of course, I will send you the link for the webinar recording and for the slides. So you will be able to use slides and recording in the future. And any questions, please let me know. And of course, again, thank you so much for your time. And I hope that this lockdown and quarantine time will stop very soon, and we will recover very fast, and everybody will be safe. I wish you and your families to be safe, and please just let's now in our region it's summer and sun is coming, and really mood became more positive like it was 1 month ago. So I wish all of us success with the business, and of course to be safe with the health and with our families. Thank you so much. Take care and see you soon.